Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. This is Travis P11 and today we are taking my favorite carbine out to the range. We are taking my Daniel Defense DDM4A1 back out. It's been a while since we fired it. This time around we're going to be taking it out with this Eotech exps3-4. Now, if you're not familiar with this particular optic, it is one of the newer models that Eotech has to offer. It does have a 4-dot reticle with holdover points that are designed around the 62 grain 223 Remington round, which is what we're going to be shooting. Since we're going to be dialing it in initially, we'll be starting off at 25 yards and we'll take it out to 50 yards and depending on how busy the range is, possibly go 75 yards or 100. I'm looking forward to a couple range trips with this rifle and I'm going to have a lot of fun with it. We'll just be running through some 10-round PMags. Again, we'll be running that 62 grain PMC bronze round. At some point, I'm going to try some 77 grain meat ammo boat tail hollow points in here to see how they run. Supposedly they run pretty good. I believe we're running a 1-8 twist, if I'm not mistaken, on this rifle. Now, if you're familiar with this rifle, I was previously running the Eotech 553, which is also known as the SU231 PEQ. And this is a legit optic. This is not a clone. Now, the only problem with this is that this was manufactured in 2009. It's getting very old, and Eotech will not service these anymore. If I need it for any kind of repair, I got to find somebody who can repair it out there, which it does work fine right now, by the way. There's no issues with it, but Eotech will only give me credit towards a new sight if it happens to break. So I decided to go and get something that kind of looks like the same sight. You know, it's got that FDE finish, so that's why I went through Optics Planet and got the OpMod version. The other problem with these is that these are getting very expensive because they're becoming collector's items. A lot of guys that want to do a SOP mod or SOCOM build are getting these authentic parts. Like up on the front, I've got a Surefire M720V. The problem with those parts is as they dry up, trying to find them in new condition is about impossible. And when you do, you pay a premium price for them. So again, I'm going to go and retire the optic for now. The nice thing is that it does work. All I got to do is throw a couple batteries in, slap it on. It should more or less retain zero because of the clamping system and the mounts. And again, I'm not going to totally put it away, but we're going to try something different. So like I said, we'll be sighting in at 25 and then also 50 yards just to try it out. Should be a good time. And hopefully the wind won't be an issue today, and it should be pretty cool. So let's go ahead and let's hit the range. Okay, so let's talk about how we did. A couple things I want to mention before we get started. One, the range was packed today, so I didn't do as much talking as I normally do on the firing line. I don't know, maybe some of you liked that, maybe some of you didn't. I generally just don't feel myself sitting there shooting, but the shooting is more or less, you know, just proof that I was actually there and I did it. The second thing too is I wasn't able to go run down there and put my camera right in front of the target like I normally do because we only had a couple breaks to stop and change targets. So I just zoomed in, so I'm hoping you guys were able to see it, but if you couldn't, here's the results, and it always looks a lot different up close than it does when you're watching it on camera. So 25 yards, not a big deal. Anybody can do this. We had 0.28 of an inch right out of the box. This was unmodified, just dropping it on top of the rail and seeing what it would do. That's a three-shot group. So I went ahead and made some adjustments to the elevation, dropped it down. 0.533 is where we were there. And then I made a few adjustments on the windage, and we had 0.527. Then what you actually saw me shooting on camera, so this was me zeroing, okay? Right down here is where we ended up before we started filming. So 62 grain, 25 yards, a little bit to the left. I still had two shots that were just off center a bit. 0.401 is where we are. Made one little adjustment to the right, and then we had 0.456. I'm aiming at the exact same point every time, but we're just trying to bring it in a little bit to get it as zeroed as possible, and that's really, really good. I will say this about that XPS3 reticle. A lot of people don't like it because they feel like those 3 dots or 4 dots kind of stack on top of each other and blend in. When you get outside and get some daylight between those dots, you really don't notice it. And those dots are really designed to work with the 3.25 times magnifier, power magnifier. So if you have a magnifier in the back, if you look at the design of it, and we'll take a look at it here in just a moment, it does really scrunch that 3 times magnifier right up against the back of it, and those holdover dots are much more useful. And in all honesty, 0 to 300 yards, I'm either going to use iron sights, or I'm just going to use the top dot. And the top dot was totally noticeable for me. But I will say this, you may want to try that optic out before you drop, however much on it you're going to spend. I think I got mine on sale for a little under 600. Sometimes it goes as high as 700. So you really got to watch out. Okay, now let's go ahead and take things out to 50 yards and see what happens. So there's the targets. Okay. All right, 50 yards. I didn't realize this, but I thought I grabbed another box of 62 grain. I grabbed a box of 55 grain. So this was all I had left. I was going to do a lot more shooting at 50 and then go out to 75. So it was a little high at 50 yards. You can see we still need to make some windage adjustments. Made a few clicks, made my proper adjustments, and they have a quick reference card that comes with the dot sight, with the holographic dot sight, that makes it super easy to dial it in. It tells you exactly what to do. But anyway, that was 0.887 of a group. And then right down here, my last 3 shots of 62 grain, 1.112 inches at 50 yards. That's respectable. I can live with that. And again, it looks huge, but it's not. I use calipers to measure this stuff out. So I just decided, let's just go ahead and shoot some 55 grain, right? I'm out there. I mean, it's a beautiful day out. I got the ammo. Let's just go ahead and test it and see what happens. So with no zero adjustment, here's just a couple rounds. This is how we came out. 1.65 inches at 55 grain at 50 yards, and it was, pretty much where it needed to be, right? I'm happy with that. A little bit high. And then we've got 1.749 inches, again, 55 grain at 50 yards. There's nothing wrong with that. Last 3 shots, 0.946. So I'm good. I don't think you can ever get out there enough and really get these things zeroed as much as you want without putting some serious time. And I'm going to take it back out again. So hopefully we'll be able to take it out with some 77 grain meat ammo. It's kind of a match grade bowtail hollow point that they sell. It's a really wicked round, so we're going to test that out. All right, so let's bring it back for a few final words. Okay, so I'm not just saying this to hype up the brand, but this Daniel Defense AR-15, I think it's a 1 1/8 twist, 14.5 inch barrel with the 2.5 inch flash hider on the end that's been pinned and welded. Just one of the most accurate AR-15s I have in my collection. It just shoots really, really well. Even testing it with that old Eotech sight, the first time we took it out to the range, it was shooting sub MOA, and a lot of ARs can do that, But it is consistent, and I like that. I think the trigger is really well on it. It's great. It is just a standard mil-spec trigger. The exps3-4 Eotech held up well. Definitely look into one. Like I said, the reticle is designed around a 223 Remington round, so if you're not going to be running that, a 62 grain round, if you're not going to be running that, there are different variants of this you can get that might run a little bit better. Just to show you a little bit over here. So what they did, Eotech moved the controls to the left-hand side instead of the rear. The idea is you can really get that 3 times magnifier, the mount right up against the back, so it's less of a space between it. It does bring it in closer, which will help you have more accurate shots. The buttons are on the side, a little bit awkward, but I can easily manipulate them with my left hand while holding the gun with my right hand. It does have the night vision settings. It's got several settings for brightness and I think 14 different night vision settings or something, so you can use it with night vision goggles. It won't burn out the tubes. It does have a warranty for 10 years. You look up the specs if you're curious about it. I think it's a 68 MOA circle and then a 1 MOA dot is what it has, and then it's got the 3 dots below it, and you've got those holdover points, which I've shown you guys a couple times already in this video. So the XPS3-4 performed great. I'm really happy with it. It's going to stay on here. It's the the go to war, so to speak, optic that's going to stay on this one. I think I'm going to add a magnifier and just try one. It does mean I'm going to have to take off the rear iron sight, but I can live with that. Push it forward a little bit, put that magnifier on there, and we're all set to go. So anyway, this is Travis P11. Thanks for joining us on this little journey, testing out the Daniel Defense DDM4A1 with some 62 grain PMC bronze. I'll make sure I grab the correct ammo next time so we have a lot more to shoot with. But, and again, I had mags full of ammo, but it's all basically 55 grain. But in the meantime, guys, I want you to have fun. I want you to be safe. Make sure you check out my podcast called Caliber Corner, which we host Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. Central Time over here on YouTube. And as you know, we will talk to you soon. All right, take care, guys. Bye-bye.